Hello everyone, welcome to another Table Talk review. Today we're reviewing Among Cultist.
Among Cultist is for 4 to 8 players, ages 14 and up, and about 45 to 90 minutes.
So, a little bit about this game is that it's inspired by the video game Among Us, and that's what a lot of people have been comparing it to in board game form. So, if you're not familiar with that game, it's basically a bunch of people online or running around. The original map is a spaceship, and one person's trying to kill everyone, but doing it secretly, because if they get caught, they essentially will be voted out and lose. While everyone who's not the imposter is trying to do tasks and find dead people, basically.
And figure out who the
imposter
killer
is, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, Among Cultists, kind of that in board game form, where you are running around a map and trying to do tasks. In this case, though, because of the theme, it's trying to find, like, I guess, clues or like manuscripts or something. Point is those tasks include putting cards into decks for rooms and then essentially investigating those rooms by drawing a card, and it'll be a success failure kind of thing, while also having to check your fellow players whether they're alive or dead, because there's encounters where if players are in the same spot, they will exchange a card, alive or dead, and put it secretly onto their pulse deck, if I remember correctly. And that deck, in order to figure out if that person's alive or dead, you have to actually say, hey, as my action, I'm going to look through that deck while being in the same room as somebody. And that's this game kind of in a nutshell. This, like I said, I mean, the cultists are trying to kill people. That's how that works.
Mm-hmm. Well, the art of the game, the artwork is fine, but in my opinion, the board of the game was a little darker, and it would be nice if they could brighten it up a little bit.
So here's some of the board pieces.
It is like thriller theme. So
yeah, I mean, it does give kind of like Cthulhu vibes, but as you can see, it does have very dark tones to it, and it's, you know, I mean, it would be nice to maybe have it be lit up a little bit, but that's fine. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of it, but I can live with it. It's fine.
Okay. So let's move into components. I find that the quality of the components are really good. I enjoy, the good quality. Yeah. My only complaint is these book tokens, which is part of a task that you have to do.
Yeah.
To gain points to win as an investigator, are so tiny compared to the size of the board. Like, if you look at the board, and then these are the little tokens that you put here, and it's just, it could have been bigger. Could have been, considering how big this board is. Like, yeah, that is my one complaint. Like I said, with components, tiny little book tokens. All the other components, very good quality. We got.
Well, the board is cardboard. Sheets.
The time tracker
is, cardboard. The first player marker is a knife, cardboard.
This fancy, nice bag with the event tokens in there. Like, it's very good.
Player boards.
Yeah.
We also have player tokens, which are nice wooden pucks with stickers. I had to apply the stickers myself, but yeah, I like the solid pieces there.
We got these envelopes where you pass out all of a player's cards and components for the game in here.
Roll tokens.
Okay, quality cards are great.
Room tokens, and then, last but not least, of course, the cards. Of course, you have a bunch of cards, even though there's kind of, I guess, say 2 different types. You got kind of your success failures, and then you have your alive and dead cards. Yep, take that.
Okay.
So these are the components. Oh, I almost forgot. There are also those, which are your route tokens because players are gonna have to follow a route. Well, everyone who's not a cultist can do whatever they want. Or cultists could do whatever they want. That's what I was saying. I also came with these cards. I'm not sure what they're for. Just letting you know, they're there.
You want to talk about the rule book? I didn't read it. It's 23 pages long. It has the appendix in the back.
Yeah, you got appendix for all the events, roles, and those little things in the back, which is nice. The rule book is okay, I guess. I didn't think it flowed quite as well, mostly because it kind of explains the flow of the game and then the actions you can do, which I thought was a little odd. It didn't tell you, here are the actions when you were explaining the action phase of the game. But, and the setup is kind of a pain. I did have to read it like 2 or 3 times to fully understand what I needed to do. Which, I mean, it's not too hard, but they have this whole chart in here that tells you, based on player count, how to deal cards, what cards to give each player, cultist or investigator, how to set up the board, because each room starts off with a card, things like that. Which, it's definitely a bit of a pain to deal with, especially if, you start setting up and then someone walks in and is like, hey, can I join? It's like, well, yeah, sure, just give me a minute to reset everything to start setting up again, slightly differently.
I feel like it took like 30 minutes to set up because of
we had that issue.
How many cards you're gonna have to count out and then deal, and then like if you mess up the cards, you mess up the game. Like, I mean, setting up the cards.
Not too bad, but yeah, to some degree.
It's potential, and so the setup is a big hassle, and it would be nice if there was some way to streamline that.
Right. But
let's get into the gameplay then.
Yeah, so I'd say gameplay complexity rating, or yeah.
I don't think it's too complex.
No.
Teaching the game, it sounds confusing because there's like all these actions that you can do. But when you get into playing the game, you can't actually do all those actions at one time. Like, you have to do this type of action first, putting the cards into the rooms, before you can search the rooms and check the cards. So, like, first 3 rounds, you're doing the same thing over and over. There's not much
I mean, there are a couple of things, but yeah, but the point being is a lot of the actions have certain criteria that need to be met in order for you to do those actions. Like checking the room, you got to have certain amount of cards in the room before you can do that. So check a state, you got to be with somebody. I mean, it's pretty easy. Once you play a couple rounds, you know what you're doing. So. Yeah, I mean, most of the things most of the turns, you'll be essentially limited to probably 2, maybe 3 actions out of a half dozen or so.
Yes. So replayability wise, there's some replayability. Well, there are expansions that will, change the map and then have different things going on.
There's a couple extra
that
things,
will, add for replayability. We haven't gotten to those expansions yet, so we will make another review on those. But with this replayability, I feel like it's just the same as any other hidden identity game,
secret objective game thing. I agree. Just like most of those games, like the Werewolf series, where there's a bunch of extra roles you can throw in for variability. The map does change slightly with player count. That's why it's broken up into 6 boards instead of one foldable one.
I'm not a fan of having to figure out which side that you need to set up. Like, I feel like they should have did side A, side B, C, D. It will make it a lot easier to set up. I think that's the one critique with the art, I guess, adding that.
Fair enough.
But let's go into our rating. You want to talk about how you feel this game and how you rate it?
Yeah, sure. I say it's definitely different from other hidden identities like the Werewolves, and I'm trying to think of some other ones.
Blood on Clock Tower. We haven't played that one.
I haven't played that one, but Avalon is one.
Oh, yes.
Or
Hitler, the
Secret Hitler.
yeah.
Resistance, which is essentially Avalon, but slightly different theme. But because it doesn't have this whole extra element of moving around and doing something else, it's mostly a, like, whoever is the active player does a thing and then discussion. And you just have to either lie through your teeth to not be suspicious, or yeah, you just gotta have to, like, oh no, I'm a good guy. I'm not a huge fan of those because it's essentially lying and bluffing, and there's no real true explanation on why should someone believe you or not. Where this one does have, like, everything's out there. Now so if, like, oh, I found out you died, okay, who did you run into and things like that. So there's knowledge that is there. You can't
Except
necessarily...
with the setup, like, there's potential you were from the get-go dead.
Right. At the beginning of the game, based on player count, there is basically 7 players you don't, but every other player count you do is you shuffle up cards, alive cards, 1 dead, and then alive equal to the number of players, shuffle them up, and then deal 1 to the bottom of each player deck that they don't get to see. So it's possible that everyone's alive, but odds are someone's going to be dead to start the game, which does, I think, maybe lean a little bit more towards the cultists having a slight advantage, but at the same time, they're also vastly outnumbered, which makes it probably easier to kill people, but yeah. Go ahead.
You want to give your rating, or you want me to?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say play it. If you haven't had a chance, or you know someone who has this game, and you're not in the mood to set up or teach this game, definitely jump in someone else's game and give it a shot. I suggest play it.
So I agree with what she said. I, generally don't like lying. And the fact that in this game you're moving around the board, you're doing stuff, it's so much easier for the cultists to lie. In which case, that's the reason I like this game, because it's easier to hide that you're a cultist. And then you'll be like, oh yeah, I am helping you. I'm taking these actions. My dislike of this game is that I find the setup is not balanced for a 50-50 chance for the cultist to win or the investigator to win. I find that the cultist has a higher advantage of winning. Setup, they can potentially have some people already dead, and they have to kill a certain number of people to win. And like sometimes you only have to kill 2 people. And when the investigators have to do these actions to get points to win, it's going to take over 5 rounds to do that. And cultists can actually kill you and win within the first or second round, So I find that it's not very balanced, but I do enjoy the game. So I would like it more if setup can make it a balanced game, and I think I'll be playing it a lot more. So my review rating of this game is play it also. So
yeah, obviously maybe some balance issues, and I agree with the idea that if someone starts off dead, then if the cultists only need to kill 3 more people, because the win conditions, of course, varies based on player count, but average about 4 per game, regardless of player count. I'm just throwing that out there. But yeah, so
that's our review of Among Cultists.
Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Tell us what you think of hidden identity, social deduction games. What's your favorite? Have you tried this one? And tell us what you think. And we'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye for now.